He owns a shop that turns over 6 figures a month. 14 bays, a waiting list 3 weeks long. But 20 years ago, he was a 17-year-old kid who stripped his first bolt so badly he cried in a bathroom and told nobody. This is that story. Act 1. Before. It's a Tuesday afternoon, in a suburb that doesn't have a name anyone outside it would recognize. The kind of neighborhood where every third driveway has something on blocks. You're 16, maybe 17, and the smell of motor oil has been in your nose since you were tall enough to hand someone a spanner without being asked. Nobody in your family is a mechanic by profession, but your uncle, the one who talks too loud at dinner and laughs at his own jokes before he finishes them, has a 1987 pickup that he's been fixing in his driveway for 11 years. You watch him, not because you think he knows what he's doing, because something about the problem interests you. The noise the engine makes, the gap between broken and working, the idea that understanding could live in your hands. School isn't holding you. Not because you're not smart, you are, but because nothing in a textbook has ever produced a result you could touch. You want to know things the way mechanics know things. Through failure, through repetition, through doing the same job wrong until you can't do it wrong anymore. The turning point in this act isn't dramatic. You fix a brake light on your mother's car by watching a single video and figuring out the rest. It takes 4 hours. It should have taken 20 minutes. But when the light comes on and stays on, something shifts in your chest that you don't have a name for yet. This is what a vocation looks like before it knows what it is. Act 2. The struggle. The first shop that hires you doesn't hire you as a mechanic. They hire you as the person who sweeps the floor, moves cars, takes out the trash, and is occasionally allowed to stand near something being repaired. It's 6 in the morning. The fluorescent lights in the service bay hum at a frequency that lives behind your eyes. Your hands are already dirty, and you haven't touched a car yet. The senior tech, a man named Dale, who has the interpersonal warmth of a cracked socket, looks at you the way people look at someone they expect to quit within the month. He's not wrong to look at you that way. Half the people who start here do quit within the month. The work is not what you imagined. The glamour, if you were foolish enough to expect any, is nowhere. What's here instead is volume. Car after car after car, each one somebody's problem, each problem with a clock attached to it. Flat rate pay means you eat what you kill. Slow hands means slow money. And your hands, right now, are very slow. Here's what nobody talks about. The average apprentice mechanic in their first year makes less per hour than the person at the front desk answering phones. Most people never make it past this point. Not because they lack talent, because they can't survive the economics of becoming. You make a mistake on a brake job. Not catastrophic, not dangerous, because Dale catches it. But he catches it loudly, in front of 3 other technicians, and the shop goes quiet in the specific way that shops go quiet when someone is being educated through humiliation. You don't quit. That decision, quiet and private, and made in the parking lot during lunch, is the whole act. This is what commitment looks like before it feels like anything good. Act 3. The turning point. 18 months in. The floor is still yours to sweep, but the jobs are getting longer, more technical. Someone has started trusting you with the cars that require thought rather than just speed. It's a Wednesday in November. Outside, the temperature is sitting at something that makes your knuckles ache. Inside the bay, there is a vehicle that has defeated every diagnostic tool the shop has run at it. Intermittent misfire. Shows up, disappears. Shows up again. 3 technicians have logged time on it and sent it back to the owner twice with a clean bill of health and a prayer. Dale puts it in your bay. Not because he thinks you'll solve it, because it's a slow morning, and he's curious what you'll do with a problem nobody else has cracked. You spend 4 hours on it. You don't rush. You trace every circuit. You read the factory service manual, the actual manual, not the shortcut guide, until you understand not just how this system works, but why it was designed to work that way. And somewhere in hour 3, sitting on a creeper with a wiring diagram in your lap, you find it. A chafed wire inside a harness, invisible until you knew exactly where to look. Dale says nothing when you show him. He just nods once, in the slow way that, you'll come to understand, is his version of a standing ovation. Act 4. Mastery. 5 years out. The accumulation is invisible to anyone watching from outside, but it is total, and it is permanent. You move differently in a shop now. There's a quality to how you approach a vehicle, unhurried, observant, reading it before you touch it, that younger techs notice without being able to name what they're seeing. What they're seeing is pattern recognition, built from thousands of hours of mistakes that left no scars anyone can see. The cars have gotten more complex. Every year, another layer of electronics, another system that requires a software update before it requires a wrench. Some of the older guys resist this. You don't. You understand that the tools change and the thinking doesn't, and that a mechanic who can't adapt is just someone with an expensive collection of outdated equipment. Here's the number that most people outside the trade never hear. A master technician in a well-run independent shop can diagnose a fault in under 12 minutes that a dealership, with its full team and manufacturer resources, couldn't find in 3 appointments. That's not opinion. That's what accumulated competence produces. You make mistakes still. The difference is that now you catch most of them before they cost anyone anything, and the ones you miss teach you something the previous 10 years hadn't managed to. Mastery isn't the absence of error. It's the compression of the distance between error and correction. There's a 17-year-old in your bay now, sweeping your floor, watching you the way you watched your uncle 20 years ago in that driveway. You don't tell him it gets easier, because it doesn't, not exactly. You tell him it gets clearer. This is what mastery looks like. Not confidence, but clarity. Act 5. The cost. Let's be honest about something that the trade school brochures and the YouTube channels about blue-collar pride tend to leave on the cutting room floor. It's a Saturday. You're 41. Your right shoulder has been making a sound for 2 years that your doctor describes, with impressive vagueness, as wear-related. Your knees have an opinion about cold mornings that they did not have a decade ago. You've missed a number of things. Dinners, birthdays, the first half of a school play that nobody will bring up directly, but that you replay in a specific category of memory reserved for things you traded for the work without meaning to. The financial ceiling in the trades is real, and it's lower than the people who advocate loudest for skilled labor tend to advertise. You can earn well. You can earn very well if you move into ownership, if you specialize, if you build something beyond your own labor. But the path from technician to that ceiling requires a different set of skills than the ones that made you good with your hands. And not everyone makes the crossing. And the people who can't spend years good at their craft and uncertain about their future. There's also a cost to what the body absorbs and cannot return. Chemicals, repetitive strain, the cumulative weight of a career measured in hours on concrete floors. The obstacle in this act isn't a person or a bad job. It's the arithmetic. The trade gave you something real and permanent. The trade also took something, steadily and without asking permission. You knew, eventually, what the ledger said. You chose to keep showing up anyway. That choice deserves to be made with both eyes open. This is what sustaining a career actually costs. Things you won't know you've paid until you're counting them. Act 6. Legacy. 22 years since that brake light on your mother's car. It's a Monday morning, 6:14 a.m. The shop isn't open yet, but you're already here because this is when the work feels most like yours. Before the noise, before the phones, in the particular stillness of a space that belongs to you completely, and only for a few minutes before the day claims it. The bays are full, not with cars, with what the cars represent now. 14 families whose transportation you are personally responsible for. 7 technicians whose livelihoods pass through decisions you make every day. An apprentice named Marcus who reminds you, in ways that are almost uncomfortable, of who you were at 17. Watching. Waiting. Needing someone to believe in him before he can believe in himself. You give him the intermittent misfire, not because you think he'll solve it, because you remember what it felt like when someone put an unsolvable problem in your bay and walked away. The obstacle at this stage is not technical and it's not financial. It's the weight of what you've accumulated and the question of what it's for now that you've accumulated it. Whether the knowledge transfers, whether the next generation of hands inherits something real from the generation before it. Whether any of these compounds into something larger than one career in one shop in one town. You don't have a clean answer. You have Marcus. You have the shop. You have the memory of a bathroom where a 17-year-old cried over a stripped bolt and told nobody. And you have the knowledge that the person who cried that day and the person standing in this shop before sunrise are connected by nothing more or less than the decision to keep going. The story started with a kid who didn't know what he was building. He still doesn't entirely. But the building continues. What are you waiting to begin? Drop your trade in the comments, or the one you're thinking about starting. Every craft has a version of this story. I want to hear yours.